comes upon him. 55, on 1 Corinthians 15:55, O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? Okay, now I'm going to read through the passage from Job. I'm going to be reading Job 15:21 through 25. Sounds of terror are in his ears, while at peace the destroyer comes upon him. He does not believe that he will return from darkness, and he is destined for the sword. He wanders about for food, saying, where is it? He knows that a day of darkness is at hand. Distress and anguish terrify him. They overpower him like a king ready for the attack, because he has stretched out his hand against God and conducts himself arrogantly against the Almighty. Amen. That was Job 15:21 through 25. What we're going to be talking about today is the fact we're going to be wandering around looking for food. We are going to be facing some days of darkness, and basically because we've stretched our hand against God. So, here we go. As I said before, the destroyer. It is a planetary system that's coming through our planetary system, and it's going to destroy a lot of what we take for granted today. Okay, so let's start looking around here. Just a little recap. NASA has already confirmed this planetary system. They've already got pictures of it. And it's going to affect all of us, not just us in America, but us also in Asia and in England and France, Holland. These are the main things I can see happening. So I'm going to just kind of go through this. Let's start off with Asia. Now, as you know, Asia got hit with Fukushima. Well, Fukushima has been pumping out radioactive water. I think it's about 3,000 tons, not gallons, tons of water a day into the sea. The sea is now toxic, which means that the fish that Asia catches is toxic, which means there's radiation in it. Now, we've also now started to hear reports, and I don't know how truthful they are, but what we're hearing is the fact that the fish are dying off. There's massive fish kills. Porpoises are not producing their young. And basically, I'm looking at the fact that this probably is because of the radiation within the water. But I see something that's going to happen here. Now, we're looking at Psalm 8:8. The birds of the heavens and the fish of the sea, whatever passes through the path of the seas. Okay, now, going through the path of the seas, I'm looking at a ship. We've got container ships, massive, massive container ships, bringing thousands and thousands of tons of food and produce and equipment and parts and whatever. Now, I'm looking at the fact that these things are coming through the sea. Metal. We've also got the radioactivity in the sea. Eventually, this metal and the radioactivity are going to combine. And what are we going to do with these ships when we find out they're radioactive? The hulls, these massive hulls, are not going to be able to be broken down in India or Pakistan or anywhere like that because they're going to be radioactive. And they will kill people. The fishing that Asia relies on is going to be contaminated. The fish that people in Asia eat is not going to be healthy for them. They're going to end up with all kinds of side effects. They're going to be poisoned due to the fish consumption. They also use the fish for livestock feed. Okay, well, guess what? That's going to pass on the radioactivity to animals. The worst thing you can do is ingest strontium and what have you, because in the high doses and the constant doses, we're going to end up with some pretty nasty stuff going on. What about England? What about Europe? What about France? What about Holland? Now, we know that Holland is built basically on seabed. And what they've done is they've built dikes, and they've built bridges, and they've built water systems that drain the excess water off into the sea. Well, if you've got an increase in the level of sea from what they have believe they're going to have, it's okay. It doesn't matter how many dikes you have. It doesn't matter how many water gates and passages and canals you have. I really seriously believe that we're going to end up with what we could call we'll call it a meteorite or an asteroid. If one of those things hit the north or south pole areas, there's going to be a massive water deluge. It's going to raise up the sea level because one of those rocks does not lose its heat immediately. It takes time to cool. It's been 6 billion years out there circling. What makes you think that just because it hits ice it's going to cool down? No, because that heat is internal and it'll take time for the heat to dissipate to the outer edges of the space debris. So, England and France, I'll guarantee you, your main rivers, the Seine and the Thames, they're going to rise. So be prepared for some flooding in London and all the way along the Thames and all along the length of the Seine. We're going to have an excess of water, people. And it's because of this situation coming through our space system. Now I'm looking at Ecclesiastes 12:8. Vanity of vanities, said the preacher. All is vanity. You know, we really think we're something. We really believe that we can control what we control, and we really think we are the bee's knees. We are up to date. We are we're pretty solid on this stuff, you know. We believe we have no problems. We have absolutely no situation we can't handle. Well, I'm sorry, folks, but you know what? I'm telling you now, we're pretty lackadaisical on this system of understanding where we are. And when I say lackadaisical, I ain't talking about flowers. I'm talking about destruction. I'm talking about you folks. You need to take care because you're going to die. There's a lot of you that are going to be killed off in this. Are you prayed up? Are you with God right now? Are you really sincerely with God? Or are you just kind of like blowing it off? I really kind of wonder. You know, I'm talking about the UK now. This is my home. The UK, I think, is going to experience some major impacts on coastal flooding from the sea level rise. The assessments show, as I can see, that 10 to 15% of England's coastline is comprised of long stretches, sometimes 5-6 miles, that are below the elevation of the water. They've got dikes, they've got walls up, and what will happen is the water will go around it. Water is fluid, it'll find its own level. It doesn't matter how high you build the wall, it's what's off to the side, it can come around and it'll flood inland. Besides, you know, England has a lot of areas that are made out of chalk, mud, sandbars. All this does not allow for the free flow and stoppage of water. It increases. And we will end up with water, with mud and debris and the rest of the refuse we've thrown out into the sea, folks. One could no problem pumping out the sewage many years ago. We should have realized what we were doing even then, but we didn't. So, talked about Holland, we talked about France, we talked about England. So let's go inland a little bit. Let's go down to the Mediterranean basin. Acts 16:26. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, so the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened and everyone's chains were loosened. You know, we're looking at doing a lot to rescue people because there's going to be earthquakes. Our earthquakes, I think I told you the last one, our earthquakes and our volcanic activity in 1955 was at this level here. In 2018, have got this kind of a curve going. We're right up here now. We were down here. So what's happening? What I'm saying is there's this much of an increase. Okay, there's this much of an increase between 1955 and 2018, where our earthquakes and our volcanic disruptions have increased. So I'm looking at the Mediterranean basin now. The signs of earthquakes, famines, false teachings, persecution, betrayal were given to warn against the first century Christians. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about there was a great earthquake, so the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were open. We're talking about foundations of buildings not being true. We're talking about foundations of buildings that are going to be crumbled and relocated so that things like the gates will open. Okay, now you think, okay, well, you know, big deal, it's only going to be a few houses. But what about Italy? Let's take a look at Italy. You know, Italy is an old Roman countryside, if you want to say it this way. And I'm talking about the Tower of Pisa. Now that thing is at an angle. It has been propped up. They have put concrete barriers underneath. They have got iron rods up inside of it trying to keep it stable. Well, I tell you, when this Nibiru flies through, there ain't nothing that man can do. As I said, we lackadaisical about this stuff, and I still ain't talking about no flowers. Okay? We're talking about earthquakes that are hitting Rome, Italy, and what have you. And we're saying, oh, well, when was the last time that Italy had a earthquake? Well, August 2017 in Campania, very close to Pompeii, Herculaneum, and Mount Vesuvius. Mount Vesuvius is still considered an active volcano, folk. Really? We've got an active volcano. We're not taking any notice of it because this thing's coming through, and let me see now. Oh yes, we have active volcanoes ourselves in the United States. But when it comes down to Europe and like Italy and other locations, they are sitting on a fault line, and this fault line will emerge and be devastating to us. We're talking about Mount Vesuvius. My latest report I got states that all bird and animal life on the mountain has fled. There's nothing there. All there is shrubs and trees. The birds have gone, and the wildlife has gone. You know, they're the only things with any sense. We're sitting here out there touring the volcano. The animals are taking a hike. You know, this particular area, it's has a 1,000-year cycle of eruption, and it's pretty regular, very regular in fact. It's almost to the point where you can set your clock to it. In 1,000 years, we are 4 years overdue for a blowout, and I think we're going to have one. So what am I saying? All this information I'm trying to give you, this is just a pinprick to the arteries that are covering and transporting the blood. What I'm trying to tell you is, if we're not prepared, all this is going to swing around and affect us here in the United States. Okay? We're not going to have the food resources. We're not going to have everything else. We are going to be in a mess, folk. We are going to be in a real mess because all of these countries supply us with needed food. All right? And here we go. Here we go. So I'm going to close here with a little bit more scripture. We're talking about Christ. And I used the ESV translation. Mark 13, 1 through 37. And as he came out of the temple, one of his disciples said to him, "Look, teacher, what wonderful stones and what wonderful buildings. And Jesus said to him, do you see these great buildings? There will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down. And as he sat on the Mount of Olives opposite the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately, tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign when all things are about to be accomplished? The signs are there, folk. Our time is coming. I urge you now, make yourself right with God. Ask for forgiveness of those you have worked against, as God has forgiven you for those things that you have done unto him. Matthew 24:36. But concerning that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father only. Remember, I'm just here trying to scratch your little grey cells to make you curious and get you to look for this stuff yourself. No one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father only. I thank you, folks, for your time. I know this is pretty rough. I know this is uncoordinated, if you want to put it that way, but hey, I'm just a simple preacher. I'm just trying to show you, while of peace, the destroyer comes upon him. That's you. 1 Corinthians 15:55. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? The only way you can remove the victory of death and the pain of the sting is going towards Jesus Christ, the Son, Jesus Christ, the one and only, and in the name of Jesus we pray. I thank you for your time. Remember, if you want to send us a note or a request, address, email is Bethlehem Bible Church 2.0, or one word, at gmail.com. Bethlehem Bible Church 2.0 at gmail.com, or me personally, Pastor Nige at gmail.com. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your